Hi, and thank you for coming back to watch another video. In this one, I will be cleaning up my potting station. Now this is long overdue. I usually try to do this at least once a month, but maybe about 2 months have passed now. So I have quite a bit of cleaning to do, quite a bit of organizing to do. But luckily, I was able to find an awesome deal at PriceSmart. They have currently this 12-pack clear container set with the clear lids for maybe $138, I believe. I did post it to my Instagram. Now, I hope this video inspires you to do the same, and if you are thinking about getting this container set that I feature, it's actually half off right now in PriceSmart. So let me show you what I did. Before I dive in, this is the product that I'll be featuring. So it's advertised as a stackable shoebox. But you know, us plant folk or us hobbyists, we will make great use out of any container, clear container I should say, with a clear lid. So this, in my mind, is a steal and is perfect for what I'm trying to achieve in this video. So if you're thinking about giving it a go, you'll actually find it for half off now. So I would say give PriceSmart a check if you have any similar tasks like what I'm about to undertake. This video is not sponsored. I genuinely bought that container set thinking it would lend value to my potting system, which you can see is a hot mess right now. I have 3 levels of stuff that needs cleaning and reorganizing. I also have spillage on my right that consists of just dirty pots and items that need sterilizing all over again. Now I do have a lot of room, and I am sure that these containers would help me just manage my mess better in the future. Firstly, I refilled my dish soap and hand soap. Then I started refilling all my go-tos that I use every day. That will include clips, my labels, and this batch of plastic coated paper clips. I use these to pin nodes on long vines into the soil so that they will root and push new growth to create fuller plants. Next, I pull down all the surface items that I use when I'm repotting. So that included this potting mat and that white tray, which is actually the base of an old dish rack that I'm just reusing. And the blue long tray is actually the saucer from a horizontal planter. Those items help me contain material when I'm repotting on the surface. So I scrub them down using dish soap or laundry detergent, and I sanitize them after using rubbing alcohol that I just spray everywhere. That will sanitize everything and get me back in order to repot again. While those items were drying, I tackled this batch of items which consisted of stakes and ties. I reorganized them based on functionality and size for easy storage. So here I am topping up my ties that I keep on hand that I could just grab and go in the morning if I'm doing any additional chores, and these are bits that needed organizing. It belongs to a stackable system that I bought on Amazon. I'm finally going to open that stackable set. Now, if there's any other product that you're curious about in this video, feel free to comment below and I'd be happy to share the information that you're requesting. Now, in this first container, I'm going to house all my ties, twine, yarn, twist ties, anything that I use to secure a plant to a stake, I'm going to put in this container. What I'm also including is this white mesh bag that I use to protect successfully pollinated anthurium inflows from predators. I usually get this from either produce or toy sets that they use this mesh to contain small parts in the toys, so I figured this one came from a toy set. What I usually do is cut off a large section of yarn or twine and house it on the surface of my potting table so that I could just have easy access to it. And I just continued here to add some zip ties that I use to secure stackable poles, and some wire that I also use when I'm trellis making into this container. And that's my first container filled, and as you can see, It is visually pleasing, it held everything, and I know exactly what's in the container because it's clear. In the next couple of containers, I stored firstly my configurable stake system that I got on Amazon. That's this black set. I just placed all of them in and included any other trellises that could fit. After that, I added my wooden planks that are really just reused floorboard samples, and any other tall stakes and trellises I added to this wire basket that lives on the top of my potting table so that I have easy access to it when I'm doing plant chores. I also included my soil moisture meter just for easy access again on those watering days. And finally, I tossed my extra gloves into a container as well, as I have different gloves for different purposes. Finally, my surface is cleared and ready to be cleaned down. Once I've done that, I add back my potting mat that has now dried and the additional trays. Now, I've been using this system for years, so it is quite heavily stained still, but it is sterilized. Once it's not broken, I won't toss it out. After that, I start adding all my go-to items that I've already refilled. Having these items on the surface of my potting station really expedite things when I am doing plant chores. After organizing that, I tackled my plant trolley. Now, this holds a lot of tools and products that I use frequently and also needed an in-depth cleaning. Now, I will go through all the items that I home in the system later on, but they all have to also get cleaned and reorganized, and having these smaller items on this trolley cart really is useful to me, as they can easily get lost, and just having them in a smaller system makes it so much more accessible to me. So having sanitized it as well using rubbing alcohol and cleaned it, I also add a couple accessories such as this side caddy and a couple trays just to give me some additional organization. Having this portable trolley really adds value to me when I'm doing plant chores, especially because I can move it to any part of the garden that I'm working in. It also houses a lot of items, so I don't have to be back and forth, like these plastic cups that you all know I love to reuse as clay pots. And I always keep the lids in case I need to create a humidity chamber. Now, these items I use as risers in cover pots. For example, I got this Hoya from Magnolia that sits a little too low in the cover pot. So I would add any of those items to act as a riser to bring the nursery pot more to the surface of the cover pot, which is just an aesthetic thing that I prefer. So that's actually a napkin ring that I'm using to give the plant a little more height in the nursery pot. Those plastic covers I use when I'm reorganizing my plant stands. I use the zinc-coated wire shelving units, to which I find the wire spacing on each shelf is sometimes a little too wide for pots this size. They frequently tumble off, so I just add one of these plastic lids to the shelf and place the plant on top of it, and well, that gets the job done as seen here. This tool I love, it's called a corer, and I grab it every time I'm propping. I store it on the top shelf of my caddy, and everything else below I just have neatened it up and cleaned it using trays, so this is ready to go again. After this, I decided to refill my soil bin, of which I sterilize every time I add a new batch of soil. Next, I'm going to tackle the second shelf of my potting station. This houses a lot of items as well, a lot of my products, potting material, glass vessels that I use as domes, clay pots, and this miscellaneous catch-all that really needs to be purged first of all and reorganized. This container that stores all my pon definitely needs to be replaced, as it is quite brittle now from being outside in the elements. so I have to get a replacement for that. This bin houses a lot of my bottles, and well, this is a closer look at that catch-all box that just has everything in it. But finally I've cleared it all down, and I'm just going to go through these products in a little more detail with you. That's my grab and go everyday mite cleaner that consists of dish soap, alcohol and water that I do spot treatments with for pests. This is the Neptunes fish and seaweed emulsion that I swear by for foliar fertilizing and just general fertilizing. And this is Super Thrive that I swear by for propping plants to ensure good root health from the onset. Once I've sanitized that container, I also clean down the bottles and add back to the container and onto the shelf. Finally, I'm emptying this catch-all that contained all these items you see on the floor here. This is a self-watering tool that I use when I'm traveling that keeps my plants hydrated via capillary action. These are just random accessories that I use when I'm decorating pots or just DIYing anything. This is another self-watering tool, and this is my soldering iron that I bore holes into plastic cups to reuse as pots. I eventually add that to one of the plastic bins you'll see at the end. This is my tool belt that I use every day and swear by. It houses everything that I use every day, from gloves to clippers, scissors, labeling items, Velcro straps, everything that I need daily. These miscellaneous items I was able to add to a container. I just pop them all in, and I know when I'm traveling I have easy access to these items that I usually reach for. These are clear containers and domes that I use during propagating. This went into another bin. And these are plastic bags that I try to reuse once they have a fairly stable, sealable opening. I tend to reuse it. These are cotton balls, and you'll see some Q-tips just now that I use during pest treatments. I actually add that to a smaller container just for better storing, and I put all of that into another storage container. These smaller cover pots I was able to fit into one of the containers as well. I also included this wooden riser. This is what it looks like when I start stacking on this second shelf on my potting table. I was able to get 3 to stack properly, and this is what it looks like now, having organized everything on this shelf. I have so much more space now. Now that my soil bin has dried from being sanitized, I add in the new potting mix, and this also goes on that second shelf. This is where it fits, and when I'm potting, I just simply slide it out from below and take as much as I need. This is where I fit all the glass domes on that same second shelf. And finally, we're on to the final shelf. Here has a lot of clutter as well. I'm sure I have a lot of garbage. This is the space that I'm left with, and here is everything that was under there that I'm now going to show you how I organized using those same stackable containers. Those I left soaking so that when I'm ready to scrub them out, it was so much easier just to get the dirt out, and I just have that platform remaining. This is the garbage I mentioned. These were some stackables that I originally had that hold some of my soil amendments, including leca and moss. This bottom one I have to refill with some orchid bark. But these also stack, but I saved so much space on the second shelf from using the Price Mart set that they are also able to fit on that second shelf. This remaining perlite can fit in one of the containers from Price Mart, and it's so compact that it also fits on that second shelf. So they have proven to be quite space saving for me. And now I have so much space to really lay out some additional products. These are really my go-to products that I use for fertilizing and pest treatment. I will now utilize this space on the last shelf to organize these so that I can just have them at my fingertips. I was able to fit my go-to fertilizers into this one container and put it on the second shelf also. Then I moved it below because having seen all the space on the bottom, I felt like the options were limitless. So I started just playing around with the space to see where would be most accessible to reach them. These are all my pest treatments I've now put on one side, and that spray bottle actually contains a neem solution that I use every day for plants that are pest prone. That seed tray I'm going to use for my anthurium seedlings, and the box below is actually a mini greenhouse for them that I haven't set up. I'll do another video on that. And this is the final layout for that bottom shelf. Everything looks so neat now in my main potting station, my main potting area in general. Also, I forgot to mention that I do have access to the back of the table, so I could reach those containers from the back as well. Now I'm going to tackle everything on the right of my potting station. All of these pots have to be cleaned and sanitized. I've already started soaking some. These burlap sacks I customized by putting a plant saucer to the bottom, which you'll see shortly, and I just kind of DIY those decorations to make it look cute. And this is the plant saucer just to give it additional stability on the bottom, and I use them to organize my plastics, whether it's clear pots or these containers that I use for alocasia and plants that I grow in semi-hydro. So I kind of just stack those in there based on size, and they all fit perfectly there, including these trays. Next, I'm going to clean and sterilize that filing shelf. It was going to be condemned, so I just took it from the office. I usually store all my glass vessels and other nursery pots in there. The nice thing about it is that it is perforated at the bottom, so it's really easy to clean. I just hose it down, scrub it in situ, and sanitize as I did all the things before. You can see it draining right through. Then I just add all my glass vessels in. These I use for propagations and growing in semi-hydro like leca and pond. So they have no drainage. So those are for my no drainage systems. And I add in this basket of plastics and these nursery pots. I ended up using the last burlap basket to contain my pest treatments, and I had to also organize these sleeves that I use for rooting bare stems, for example, in my anthurium. Now this stack of plastic potting bags I'm giving away for free. I don't know how many are there, but if you want them, just comment free and I'll organize to get them to you. This is now an overview of how my potting table is organized. I did add some surface level soil and pond for small potting chores that I may have on a daily basis. And the space is just so encouraging to do my potting chores. I love how everything is visually pleasing right now, and I can reach everything within arm's length. I also have the access at the back. And that's basically what the space looks like now. I couldn't be more pleased. Just to recap, here is the hot mess that we just dealt with. I hope you are as pleased as I am with the after. And this brings us to the end of another video. Thank you so much for sticking it out if you are still here. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Maybe you got a little bit of inspiration. Don't forget, if you have any questions or curious about anything that I featured in this video, just comment below or feel free to message me on Instagram. I would love to get into it even further with you all and maybe just discuss what solutions you have. Any tips at all or recommendations, please hit me up. I would be so grateful to just make the space even better and more functional. So your insight will be super valuable to me as well. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you again.